While the Carolina Hurricanes did lose in overtime despite the comeback, in the end, there's still a lot to celebrate when it came to honoring Eric Staal.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Monday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hawkeyes, also the co-host of the Surgecast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a Monday episode for you guys as we get to talk about the Eric Staal jersey retirement ceremony from Sunday before the game. We get to talk about his overall thoughts about, the ceremony itself, talk about Eric Staal and some magic moments, as well, of course, as seeing all the alumni that was in attendance, and then get to talk about the game itself as the Hurricanes did battle back from 2-0 down to force overtime, but it did eventually lose in that game. And we also get to hear from Eric's brother, Jordan, the current captain of the team, and get his thoughts overall about all of that. But before we jump into the episode itself, you could start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if you win or lose your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Now, honestly, this was a big day. I know everyone was really excited for, the fact that Eric Staal's jersey retirement. It was great to see in the offseason that, when the news came down that they were going to retire his number, and rightfully so, for you're talking with a guy who basically leads in almost pretty much every statistical category, like 909 games played, is first in goals, assists, points, game-winning goals, power play points. Almost every big thing you can think of. Of course, this is all since relocation and stuff like that. So while, Ron Francis does have, in terms of the franchise, a lot of the records, but if we're talking strictly Hurricanes only stats, then Eric Staal basically is the guy to do that. And like I said, rightfully so, second overall pick in the 2003 NHL entry draft, 6-time All-Star, world champion, gold medalist, Stanley Cup winner in 2006, was the representative for the Hurricanes in the 2011 All-Star game. Of course, he picked Cam Warner as his goalie for the captain's draft, and also was on the cover of NHL 08 to be the only Hurricane as of now to be on the cover, and is the only Carolina Hurricane to get 100 points in a season. So definitely very much well-deserved for Eric Staal, who basically spent his career from 2003 to 2016 with the team. And, there's a lot of generation of, Carolina Hurricanes fans from 2003 on, even, Hurricanes fans that were like maybe late 2000s, early 2010s. There's been a lot of different times of people getting into the Hurricanes and having their own different memories of Eric Staal. And for me, it's just we look on the magical season of 05-06, where you go for 100 points, 45 and 55. It's just talk about shooting, coming out of a cannon and basically just playing really great hockey in a year where a lot of analysts thought the Hurricanes were going to finish the bottom in the NHL and basically almost go wire to wire, leading, the division at the time, which was the Southeast, and, going into the playoffs, going down 2-0 against Montreal, storming back, then, taking care of business against Buffalo in the Eastern Conference Final. Then, you go to the Stanley Cup Final, you're up, you go up 3-1, Edmonton ties at 3-3, go back for Game 7, and then ultimately you win Game 7 in 2006 to win the franchise's first ever Stanley Cup. And, just watching all the alumni came out, you're talking, it's like, it was like the who's who. Like, you're talking over 20 guys showed up. Unfortunately, Matt Cullen couldn't make it because, just weather, we wasn't able to get out where he was from. But you're talking about like Chad LaRose was there, Justin Williams, Cam Ward, of course, Ray Whitney, Mike Commodore, Tim Brand. It's like just a bunch of guys that were just coming down. The fact that you also had the round table with, LaRose and Williams and Cole and Ward, just, talking about a whole bunch of different things, but also talking about Eric Staal as well. And, Chip Tracy, the master of ceremonies, always does a great job as well when it comes to that, just introducing Eric. And then honestly, just an absolute great, speech by him on 12 out of 12, honestly, basically thinking, everyone from the staff, the organization, his family, his brothers, even his former teammates were all in town, talking about the guys like Wesley, Francis, and Brennan were kind of leading the way for him to be the captain. And of course, you hear from Jordan Staal too about the fact that, being teammates with, his brother Eric, and then, you see the tribute video from all the guys who are there or who weren't there, from his, wife and kids. It was just overall was a really great experience. If you haven't watched it yet, you can definitely check out the speech itself from Eric on the Carolina Hurricanes YouTube account, or if you want to get the whole, ceremony itself with all the videos and all that stuff, it's about almost 30 minutes. It's on the AHL YouTube channel, so definitely check that out after you watch this if you haven't yet. And overall, the Carolina Hurricanes did a great job, just for the fact that you had the red carpet ceremony. We get to see the panel of the guys talking about him before, and then you get the whole actual ceremony itself, which, like I said, great job by Chip Tracy and the Hurricanes for setting it up with like a 5-minute intro video. Then Eric comes on, talks for almost 16 minutes, and just knocks it out of the park. And like I said, my favorite memory, of course, is when he passed it to Justin Williams, who got the empty net goal to win the Stanley Cup. And of course, and he even mentioned, we talked about the Caniacs, how they always showed out, always showed him support, and just how electric that Game 7 was in 2006, where like I said, I was last row in the arena when they won the cup. And the fact that we didn't sit down at all during the game itself, like intermissions is the only time we sat. So for the whole 20 minutes plus however long it took between TV timeouts and icings and whistles, we did not sit at all. And that's the crazy part, is when you're a part of an electric building where the only time people even sat and chilled was during the intermissions. Other than that, you're talking over 20 plus minutes per period just standing and being absolutely loud. And for me, whenever someone asks me, like, what's my favorite sports memory, it's always going to be Game 7 in 2006, because I don't think anything beats that. I mean, I've been to Super Bowls, Daytona 500s, a bunch of different types of championships and really huge games, but I think probably that one is going to be, being in Raleigh for Game 7, driving up from Florida that day to see Rod Brind'Amour lift a cup, and then just to see Eric Staal be absolutely phenomenal is great too. And of course, I was even at the All-Star game in 2011, just being in the arena, seeing, him and Cam, representing for the Hurricanes. It was just a great, time to be there. So it's just so many great memories of Eric Staal, like, shock at the Rock in 2009 against the New Jersey Devils, taking, him helping lead that team to a Eastern Conference final. Of course, ended up losing to the Penguins, but and then the fact you're talking even through the dark ages too, where it's like, yeah, there weren't really a lot of great Hurricanes teams, but you could tell every night he tried to give us 100%. That just shows what type of player he was, and the fact that he played over 900 games with the Hurricanes. I would loved if he hit 1,000 with them, but, just to be able to get 900, set a bunch of records, and it just, goes to show how much you talk about a guy like Eric Staal that embraced Raleigh. Like he said in his, speech, he didn't even know where Raleigh was when he got drafted, but when he got there, he just fell in love with the place, got really excited, and basically, got hooked on, I guess what they call sweet tea down here and stuff like that. It's just created so many memories, set up the Eric Staal Foundation. Him and his family have done so much for the Raleigh area, and just for the fact of, you're talking about him as a captain, then his brother, Jordan comes in. They're together for a few seasons. They get Jared to play, a game with them too. So you're talking 3 Staal brothers on the same line in the same game, making that type of history. And now you fast forward through a career that saw him go to the Rangers, the Wild, the Sabres, the Panthers, over 1,000 games, well above that. But for him to come back, sign a one-day contract, retire as a Carolina Hurricane, and get his number put up along with like Glenn Wesley, Ron Francis, and Ryan Burnham, and of course, join the Hurricanes Hall of Fame that includes those 3, plus Cam Ward and Justin Williams. no better fitting for another jersey to get retired, because the last jersey we had retire was Rod Brind'Amour's in 2010. So you're talking 14 years in between jersey retirements. I do think a number 30 should be up there, but that's here and there or there. But honestly, though, it was just great to see the Hurricanes honor Eric in such a way. And it was really great, the fact that even if you weren't in the arena and you weren't able to go get the bobblehead or the banner, just be able to watch it on TV and just, feel the emotion of, Eric talking about, he got number 12 because that was his dad's number, and him getting an emotional when it was kind of like, we're going to share this moment together of our number being in the rafters. And, and then Eric just making jokes about how it was always him and Jared against, Mark and Jordan. It's like, we went undefeated and everything, they may say something different, but it's my night. So just an overall great, like I said, great speech, great ceremony. Like I said, if you haven't checked it out, go to the NHL YouTube. They have the whole ceremony. If you just want to watch Eric's speech and then the 5-minute intro video that the Hurricanes did, it's all on the Hurricanes YouTube channel as well. But overall, just a 12 out of 12 running of the Hurricanes doing the whole thing. And then, of course, the ceremony itself and Eric's speech. It was just a great day to talk about Eric. Just great to celebrate him, talk about him, and remember the guy that he was as the former captain, former Stanley Cup winner, and a guy who was a 6-time All-Star. So it's very fitting for his number 12 to go into the rafters along with 17, 2, and 10. And then we had a hockey game to play, and the Hurricanes took on the Anaheim Ducks, which I'll recap here. So stick around as I'll go over all of that here in a second on a Monday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So like I said at the end of segment 1, we are going to recap the game against the Anaheim Ducks, where for the most part, honestly, the Hurricanes did play a pretty decent game overall. I mean, you look at a team who outshot the Ducks 37-20, 10-7 in the first, 11-3 in the second, 15-9 in the third. And of course, they had one shot each in overtime. Of course, the Ducks' lone shot was the game-winning goal. I mean, you got to give props to Lucas Staal for the fact that, he saved 35 of 37. I mean, he was just basically dialed in from the jump. It's just one of those things where you play a goalie who's actually pretty good overall. And you can't really take anything away from the guy who had, a 946 save percentage. And that's in 61 minutes and 52 seconds. I mean, like I said, what more can you really do there? And I know Pierre Kachekov didn't really have a great game for the fact that he gave up 3 goals on 20 shots, which gave him an 850 save percentage. Does he want the second goal back? Yeah, possibly. I mean, but you're talking about an absolute snipe job, which I'll talk about here in a second. But overall, you're talking about a Canes team who out-hit the Ducks 32-26. The big kind of takeaway from this, though, is the fact that you're talking about a Ducks team who had 28 blocked shots compared to the Canes 8. So, you're talking 65 shot attempts at least between the shots on goal and the 28 blocks. What more can you really do? If you look at the actual game, the Hurricanes played a solid game. It's just the Ducks blocked a lot of shots, and Lucas Staal played a really great game. Like I said, you got to give him credit. Now, I will say this, though. The refs overall in this game on both sides did a very bad job overall. You look at a game where it was questionable icing calls on both sides. A lot of things weren't called. So you're talking like sticks being held, guys being held, slashes, cross checks, trippings that weren't trippings. It wasn't like it was going either way for both sides. It wasn't like one side was getting favored more than the other because both teams had 2 power plays. Of course, the Hurricanes converted on one, technically they should have converted on 2 if you really think about it, because Sebastian Aho did score on a power play goal, but it was called back due to goalie interference, even though it was, Staal kind of initiated contact. Aho's foot was kind of in the crease, but like the stick entanglement between Aho's skate and Dostal's stick was outside the blue crease. So by letter of the law, that shouldn't have been goalie interference, but it was. It gets called back. Luckily, in that same power play, because the Hurricanes had 26 seconds left in it, Andrei Svechnikov did score a goal. So you did get that back. So overall, I mean, yeah, while you kind of wish you had the other goal not get called back, I mean, at least you still kind of capitalize on the power play to get that one. But, I mean, overall, it's just one of those games where the Ducks took advantage of the chances they had, and the Hurricanes had so many chances. Just, they had a goalie who was playing a really great game. So, I mean, if you want to rewind back before the whole goalie interference thing, I mean, Jensen Harkins gets his first goal of the season. Nikita Nesterenko got his first assist with the Ducks this year at 9:35. I mean, it was just a shot that he got a great pass from Nesterenko, and Harkins, going into the, right down between the circles, got the puck and just got it past Kochetkov. Not much you can really do when he kind of just flies into the zone and gets into the shot. You're nothing in the second period. Basically, was a couple penalties back and forth. The Hurricanes outshot the Ducks 11-3. Not really a lot to talk about in the second. It's just the Hurricanes were a better team. It's just Staal was standing on his head. And then in the third period, 1:18 in, Cutter Gauthier gets his 6th of the season, just kind of goes into the zone. And, yes, it was short side. You'd kind of want Kochetkov to stop that. But the angle that Gauthier shot and went past him, you're talking perfectly in the upper 90, right over his shoulder. Like, it was basically small enough for the puck to get through. 9 times out of 10, yeah, you might have stopped that, but I mean, every goalie would have an issue with that shot. It's just Gauthier put it in a perfect spot. It's like you can give credit to the guy for making a brilliant shot, and the goalie can only do so much. I mean, you can only take up so much space, and it's just he found enough of an angle, enough of a space where the puck got in. So, but could you also say that Kochetkov could have stopped it? Yeah, you could say that too, but just got to give credit to the guy who was able to shoot the puck at an angle where it got past them. I mean, there's really nothing you can do about that. It's just, like I said, the Ducks took advantage. The Hurricanes are down 2-0. I mean, they were pressuring them all game. It wasn't like the Hurricanes had like 13 shots through the first 2 periods, and they were just looked like they were just kind of, playing lackadaisical hockey. I mean, they were pressuring the Ducks all game. It's just, like I said, when you have the goal on the other side just showing that his record doesn't really match his play, because I mean, you're looking at a goalie who's been playing pretty decent for the Ducks. It's just the team in front of him just doesn't give him goal support. So I mean, Lukas Dostal, I mean, he did win the World Championships this past summer with Martin Nietzsche, so it really does say something for just the fact of how his game was. But thankfully, like I said, outside of the Aho goal getting called back, Andrei Svechnikov did score on the power play, so you cut the lead 2-1. That's 7:40 into the third period. Aho got his 31st assist. Nietzsche's got his 34th. You cut the lead in half. You have well over half the period still to go to get the equalizer. And as the game went and started getting a little tight, like, okay, eventually the Hurricanes are going to have to take advantage. And thankfully for a second chance that Seth Jarvis got, because he missed the first opportunity on a whiff, but then he got the puck back once again. And, right in front of the goal, found the angle that he needed. And just like Gauthier shot, Jarvis shot at this time far side on Dostal, pings the bar. I feel like it almost hit like where the crossbar and the post kind of meet in that top right-hand corner. I don't think you go any perfectly on that 90 to where, I don't know how else you would put that placement of a shot. Luckily, it goes in with under a minute left. The game's tied 2-2. Marty Nietzsche gets his second assist of a game that puts him at 35, and Brent Burns gets his 12th. So, once again, the comeback Canes do their thing. You're down 2-0 pretty much early in the third period. You get the initial power play goal disallowed. Then you get it back within less than 26 seconds to make it 2-1. You're back in the game. Luckily, if Seth Jarvis scoring his 13th of the year with the extra attack or two, because it was a 6-on-5, and he puts it in the spot where what more can you really do for Lukas Dostal? Now you force overtime. So you get a point out of it at least. It wasn't a complete loss. that you got a point out of. You're feeling pretty good about yourselves. Like, okay, you're down 2-0. You came back. You're kind of feeling good. Maybe this is where, you do a classic comeback Canes win for Eric Staal on his jersey retirement. Unfortunately, that was not the case, and the Ducks did win the game in overtime, a minute 52 win, and it was Cutter Gauthier once again just finding the opportunity to go on. Pierre Kachekov shoots, and he scores. Would you have loved the 2 points? Yes, because you wanted to win on a night for Eric Staal, but now in terms of the 4 jersey retirements, you are now 2-1-1 overall. When it comes to jersey retirements, the one single regulation loss was on Glenn Wesley's night. So you did win for Francis, you did win for Brendan Moore, but you did lose for Wesley in regulation and Eric Staal in the overtime. But of course, now shout out to Kane stats. Now if you want to do honorable mentions for Justin Williams and Cam Ward, they did lose on Justin Williams' night, but they did win for Cam Ward. So the Hurricanes are basically playing 500 hockey for the most part when it comes, like a little over 500 hockey when it comes to either jersey retirements and or hockey, Hurricanes Hall of Fame type stuff. But would you like to get the win? Yes, but at least you got a point out of it. It is what it is. But ultimately, it was all about honoring Eric Staal, and that's the thing that really matters the most. So, yeah, would you love the win? Of course, but hey, at least you got a point. And you got to honor, Eric by putting his number 12 in the rafters. So overall, I'd say it's a good day. You fought hard. You outshot the Ducks like crazy. I mean, the second period, you outshot them 11-3. That was a valiant effort. It's just, hey, you had a goalie who was playing hot, and the Ducks took advantage when they had to. Like I said, scored 3 goals on 20 shots. It's not, it's quality over quantity, I guess, sometimes. And that's just how these games kind of go. You get puck luck and it happens. But honestly, is it disappointing? Yes, but overall, I still think this is a kind of loss where you're like, it stinks, but you got a point out of it. You got the comeback when you made it thrilling, but ultimately you're honoring Eric Staal. So that's how it goes. Now, talking about one Staal, we get to hear from another Staal. So we get to hear from the captain himself, Jordan Staal, in his post-game press conference with media. So stick around as we'll listen to that here in a second on a Monday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. And Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Once again, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. And like I said, at the end of segment 2, we get to talk about Eric Staal and his ceremony and just talk about the game itself. Now we get to hear from his brother and current captain, Jordan Staal, as he met with media after the game. So without further ado, let's jump into that right now.
Jordan, you found at least a little bit of late game magic there on a big night, I know, for your family, but maybe not the best 60-minute effort that you guys wanted.
I thought it wasn't terrible. I thought we were pretty good. We definitely gave ourselves enough chances to win that game. We didn't give up a ton, but I thought the game was there, and boys battled back, obviously, and trying on the point. But obviously, still kind of kicking the privates at the end, but it is what it is.
What was Anaheim doing kind of for that first 40 that was making it difficult for you guys to kind of get to that front of the net?
I mean, they're pretty hard man-on-man, so they did a great job boxing out, and I think we were stuck on the outside a little bit too much. That's probably one thing we could have got a little better and get in front of his eyes. And there was still quite a few good shots with good screens, good tips. Just didn't go our way and didn't go in the net. But I think, like I said, there was an opportunity to win that game, and it just didn't go tonight.
I know you're not one for excuses, but obviously a little bit of a different routine tonight, plus 3 and 4. Was it tough to? I know Rod said that Tank was on E after the last game. I'm sure it was still a little, maybe not on F all the way.
Yeah, the boys were grinding, and I think I obviously felt the legs a little bit that first period, and kind of got into it a little bit, and you could tell kind of our game kind of looked that way too. But that's kind of how I felt. But there's not obviously a ton of opportunities like that kind of ceremony, and the boys, we're willing to be a part of it, which I appreciated, and it was a really cool moment, and the guys really liked it, I think, and we tried to battle for a win tonight, but unfortunately didn't get it.
So what was it like for you to see your brother's number up there, and it's going to continue to be up there, obviously?
Yeah, it'll be staring at me for a while. It's I've said it sometimes before. It's just a great honor, I'm sure. And rightfully so. I think what he was to this organization and what he brought here to Raleigh and the Canes fans, and just the way he carried himself in this room, and just all the positive things he brought here to the game of hockey in Raleigh. To see his number is just a great honor, and just really happy for him.
So like after Anaheim scored their first goal in the last 5 minutes of that first period, they kind of ramped up the physicality a little bit. Was that part of the difficulty of playing them tonight?
I thought they did a good job of finishing their checks, and I think, like I said, I think we had some opportunities. We didn't finish, and we could have been more in front. I think a little bit more, in the offensive zone. I think we could have shot a few more and kind of created a little more havoc. But obviously, in this league, it's always nice to get that first one, and it's always tough to come back. And I thought we did a good job of coming back and finding a way to get a point. And overtime is what it is.
Big thank you to Jordan Staal and the Carolina Hurricanes always for that. And yeah, you get to hear from the captain. It's unfortunate to lose, but you did get a point out of it. You kind of would love to down it, on a day where they're celebrating his brother. But like he said, like they had their chances. You had 37 shots. Yeah, I mean, what more can you really do? Yeah, maybe you could have got a couple more screens in. Maybe could have got a little bit more couple, greasier goals. But you're talking about a team that has Jacob Trouba and, Racco Gudis. Like, they have a lot of big bodies on that team now, and it's just, guys are not afraid to kind of muck it up when need to be. I mean, the Hurricanes did out-hit the Ducks, too. And, like I said, they had their opportunities. It's just, got to give credit to the goalie, man. Played out of his mind, stood on his head, and it's just one of those games where you wish you would get the win. But, hey, you clawed back. You got the 1 point. I mean, what can you really do? And it's just, awesome to hear, talk about how he's going to have his brother's jersey, in the rafters kind of staring at him now for the next few years because the fact that, Jordan got that, contract extension last summer. And now it's just, I mean, honestly, you're talking about, this team played 7 games in 11 days. I know they asked Jordan about that. They asked Jacob Slavin about that. Even Rod, it's like, you guys played a lot of games, do you think it's kind of that kind of made a play of fatigue? And they're like, no, I mean, they played hard all game. It's just the puck didn't really go their way. And even I wouldn't say that's really an excuse for the Hurricanes. I mean, I don't think those guys are going to make that excuse either because, I mean, every team has to play a gauntlet of a schedule at certain points. Yeah, 7 games in 11 days is pretty tough. I mean, if they didn't have to make that game up against Tampa Bay, the one they lost to Hurricane Milton, you would have had 3 days off in between the back-to-back against Minnesota, Pittsburgh, and then 3 days off before you had the back-to-back against Toronto and Vancouver, and then you had the Ducks. So, yeah, you went from, you could have went from 3 games in 4 days with the back-to-back against Toronto, Vancouver, and then you had the Ducks on Sunday. Instead, you have 2 back-to-backs, Tampa, then then you got the Ducks game. And if you want to throw in the Florida Panthers game on the second, yeah, you're talking 7 games in 11 days. That's a lot of hockey for these guys. So I know they're definitely looking forward to the next 2 days off before they go on a 1-game roadie and play the Buffalo Sabres, in Buffalo on Wednesday before they come back and play the Vegas Golden Knights at home on Friday. But, man, it is what it is. I mean, honestly, today was mainly just, celebrating Eric Staal. Would you have loved to get the win? Yeah, of course. But, You battled back. That's saying a lot for the Hurricanes team, is the fact that, they fought hard, outshot the Ducks like crazy, out hit them. It's just, you had a team who had 28 block shots, and you had a goalie who was basically playing lights out for the main part. I mean, you battled back. You came back down from 2-0, scored a goal with the extra attacker with less than a minute, big, clutch goal by Jarvie, and you forced overtime. I mean, one more key. I mean, yeah, like I said, second point would have been great, but you'll take the 1 point at least. And even Trip Tracy and Mike Maniscalco talked about it post-game. Yeah, you're kind of happy with the how the effort was. They got the point at least. They didn't lose the game outright in regulation. Would you have loved to get the win? Yeah, but nothing you really be mad about. It's just one of those games where you had a really good goalie and a team that just blocked a lot of shots. Not more you can really do about that. So it's a little bit disappointing. Like I said, yeah, of course, it's disappointing because you want to get a win, especially on a day where they're honoring a former captain, former Stanley Cup winner, a guy who played over 900 games and has a lot of records. But at least you got a point out of it. You fought hard, and that's all you can really ask for out of a team that just plays well. It's just, you had the other team who, gets paid to win hockey games too, and just had kind of a better, luck on their side. But hey, what can you really do about that? Now you get 2 days off. You got Buffalo on Wednesday. You just go on from there and see what happens next. I mean, honestly, if you look at the 7 games they just played over 11 days, when you go 4-2-1, can't really be upset with that. I'd be glad to have a record like that after a 7-game gauntlet like that through 11 days. To go 4-2-1, can't really be mad about that. So, you just take this day to, celebrate and remember about Eric Staal. Watch the, ceremony again. Watch the, the speech given by Eric Staal, and just keep thinking about all them awesome memories from him, and just remember what it's like to when we all watch Eric Staal when he played for the Hurricanes, and just remember him and celebrate him as he was as a Hurricane. Now he's gonna be a Hurricane for life with his number 12 in the rafters. But guys, that will wrap up a Monday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making it the first listen of the day. Your second listen, well, let's check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. If you want to keep it with me, I'm at OneTrueZach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky at the Zachary Martin. I have link trees in both my bios where you can check my article at the Hockey Writers, or just go to thehockeywriters.com, search for my author page at Zach Martin, and you'll find all my articles over there. If you want to check out my other podcast, well, it's the Surgecast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For this show, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast, it's Locked On Hurricanes. Follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and review, because if you do, I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, Locked On Hurricanes. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up button. Let me know if you liked the show as well. And in the comment section below, if you're on YouTube, give me your favorite Eric Staal memory. But I hope everyone enjoyed this Monday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoys their Monday, and hope everyone had a fun time celebrating Eric Staal at his jersey retirement ceremony. But until next time, as always, let's go Canes.